It's 1983. She was a teenage gospel singer from New Jersey, a complete unknown. But one man heard her voice and knew instantly that he was listening to the future of music. This is the story of how Clive Davis, one of the most powerful men in music, risked his entire reputation on a 19-year-old girl and carefully built the career of a global icon. To really get what happened in 1983, you have to picture the music world back then. The industry had invisible walls everywhere. Pop was pop, R&B was R&B, and the lines were rarely crossed. For a new black female artist to debut as a mainstream pop phenomenon, that wasn't just climbing a mountain, it was trying to move one. The airwaves weren't just segmented, they were a kind of apartheid. And then you had Clive Davis. As the head of Arista Records, Davis wasn't just some suit. He was a legend, a man with a golden ear. This was the man who had signed Janis Joplin and Bruce Springsteen, and who would later revitalize the career of the already legendary Aretha Franklin. He didn't just find talent, he created superstars. But even for him, what he was about to do was a massive gamble. The story starts in a New York City nightclub called Sweetwater's. Davis was only there because one of his team members, Jerry Griffith, had dragged him out to see Whitney Houston perform. Sissy was a force in her own right, a soul and gospel veteran. Her daughter Whitney was just singing backup, something she'd been doing since she was a teen for artists like Chaka Khan and Lou Rawls. For most of the night, Whitney was just a voice in the background. Then Sissy handed her the spotlight for a solo. The songs she sang were Home from The Wiz and The Greatest Love of All. In that one moment, everything changed. Davis later talked about the experience with an almost spiritual reverence, saying the performance sent proverbial tingles up my spine. He was floored. She found more meaning in that song than perhaps even the composers knew was there, he recalled. It just knocked me out. The feeling was so immediate that Davis scrambled to the lobby and called the song's co-writer, Michael Masser, right then and there. He told him, "You've got to fly in. I've just seen this new artist. You've got to hear what she does with your song." The very next night, Davis and Masser were both in the crowd, and the reaction was identical. Pure shock. For Clive Davis, the mission was now clear. He'd found a once-in-a-generation voice, but a great voice doesn't automatically make you a superstar. He saw the raw jewel, but now he had to figure out how to cut it into a perfect diamond. The challenge wasn't just signing her, it was building a launch pad that could shatter every barrier the industry had built. On April 10, 1983, just weeks after that night at Sweetwater's, a 19-year-old Whitney Houston signed a worldwide recording contract with Arista Records. Most executives would have rushed their new star into the studio. Clive Davis did the exact opposite. He believed in Whitney so much that he thought rushing would be the worst possible mistake. Raw talent wasn't enough. As he put it, if you don't have the right material, you're not going to make the impact that you want to make. So began a painstaking, almost unheard-of 2-year process. Davis wasn't just making an album, he was building a legend from scratch. And before she'd even recorded a single song, he pulled a move that was as brilliant as it was bold. On June 23, 1983, he put Whitney on the Merv Griffin show for her national TV debut. He introduced his 19-year-old discovery to the world with total confidence, declaring, "You've either got it or you don't have it. She's got it." She performed Home, and Merv Griffin himself announced, "You won't forget that name, Whitney Houston." It was pure Clive Davis. Create the buzz, put the industry on notice, and frame her as a star before the first record was even out. Meanwhile, the real work was happening behind the scenes. Davis personally led the hunt for songs, a process he simply called the challenge. He held showcases for the best songwriters in the business, presenting Whitney's raw talent and asking them to write songs worthy of her voice. He flew in producers like Michael Masser, Kashif, and Narada Michael Walden to craft the perfect sound. The plan was a two-part masterpiece. First, the songs had to be undeniable hits that could live in any genre. Second, the rollout had to be flawless. They didn't storm the pop charts right away. Instead, they started by giving the single "You Give Good Love" to R&B radio. The goal was to build an authentic base in the black community and establish her credibility first. The song was a monster hit on the R&B charts, proving the first part of the strategy had worked. Only then did they make the big move to pop with "Saving All My Love for You." This was the 1-2 punch Davis had been planning for 2 long years. He had laid the foundation, and now he was ready to build the skyscraper. The risk was huge. Millions of dollars and his own reputation were on the line. But Clive was a master strategist, and he knew he was betting on a sure thing. When her debut album, Whitney Houston, was finally released in February 1985, that careful strategy paid off bigger than anyone could have dreamed. "Saving All My Love for You" shot to #1 on the pop charts. Then, "How Will I Know" did the same. And then, "Greatest Love of All," the very song that had stunned Davis in that nightclub, also hit #1. Whitney Houston became the first female artist ever to score 3 #1 singles from a debut album. That album went on to become the best-selling debut by a female artist in history, selling over 22 million copies worldwide. But that was just the warm-up. Her second album, 1987's Whitney, made history as the first album by a woman to ever debut at #1 on the Billboard 200 chart. That album spun off 4 more #1 singles: "I Wanna Dance with Somebody," "Who Loves Me," "Didn't We Almost Have It All," "So Emotional," and "Where Do Broken Hearts Go?" That gave her an incredible 7 consecutive #1 hits, a record that broke a tie with the Beatles and still stands today. This historic run was no accident. It was the result of the unique partnership between Davis and Houston. He wasn't just her label head, he was her mentor, champion, and closest creative guide. He helped steer every major decision, including her massive leap to Hollywood with The Bodyguard in 1992. The soundtrack, led by her world-stopping version of Dolly Parton's "I Will Always Love You," became one of the best-selling albums of all time. The single itself spent a record-breaking 14 weeks at #1. Their partnership was transformative. Whitney's unprecedented success cemented Clive Davis's reputation as the greatest hitmaker in the business. In turn, his guidance gave her the space to let her artistry flourish on a scale the world had never seen. He remained a constant in her life, celebrating her triumphs and supporting her through her struggles, always pointing her back to the music, back to where it all began. The story of Whitney Houston's discovery isn't just about a lucky break. It's about vision, strategy, and an unshakable belief in talent. When Clive Davis walked into that club in 1983, he didn't just hear a great singer. He heard the future. He saw past the industry's rigid boxes and envisioned a global superstar. He heard the fire in her voice, but he also understood that fire needed to be focused, protected, and then unleashed at just the right moment. His 2-year gamble and his meticulous search for the perfect songs didn't just launch a career, they created a cultural phenomenon. Whitney Houston became the voice for a generation and the benchmark for what a superstar could be. She eventually became the first black artist in history to have 3 diamond-certified albums. Her legacy is a testament to her immense God-given talent. But it's also a testament to the man who heard it, nurtured it, and knew exactly how to share it with the world. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more deep dives into music history. And let us know in the comments, what's your favorite Whitney Houston song? Thanks for watching.